Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today is a little bit of a different video. I've had a little mini, do you call it road trips? I'm not sure. I've had a little trip out on my bike. Also grown a pair to get out here as well, I'll explain. So here I am in the beautiful Lake District. This is Ullswater, one of the waters, lakes, whatever, over in Cumbria. So just walk down these steppy stones. I picked a nice little spot here, sit on the lake, have my packed lunch and explain how I've got here and what I've been up to. So it's got a lovely spot there. The bike is just up there. I'll wander down the path and try not to set my neck down the little steppy stones. And here I found, well, it's a beautiful spot, apart from it looks like someone's had a barbecue and a fire last night and left all the rubbish, which isn't very kind of them. Normally if I had the van I'd have tidied that all away, but unfortunately I have got nothing and no way of safely carrying that home, or at least to a bin, but let's hope someone else will do. So yeah, so I've got found myself a little stone, little rock to sit on, and I've got a little pack up. I'm going to have something to eat. So yeah, so here I am, mentioned it before. This is Ullswater, not far from Pooley Bridge. You've got Pooley Bridge up there, Glenvine's the next little village along. So back in the summer, not back in the summer, back when I first got my bike at the end of the summer, I got my bike in the October, November, and with it just passing the CBT, I didn't have a huge amount of confidence, but I'd always said to myself, as I build my confidence up, I'd like to take some longer trips. And with us living in Newcastle, and obviously Cumbria in the Lake District is not too far away, maybe just under 100 miles. I kind of said to myself, I'd love to ride to the lakes and have a day out to the lakes. And I'd plotted a route. It's a great route, and I was just waiting for the right day to do it. So I had a free day in the family calendar. I had today booked out to do a ride, and the weather was looking pretty good for it, and then it turned. So it was meant to be cloudy but dry, and I woke up this morning and it had been raining, although it had stopped. And it's kind of, I was a bit disappointed because yesterday had been lovely. It would have been a perfect day for a ride out, but fortunately, I had daddy duties to do. Little and had a birthday party to go to, and by no means of the way, I have no problems with that. One of the best things in life is being a parent and having that responsibility. So, that's a priority over anything I do. But yeah, so I woke up this morning with this plan to do a lovely ride, and the weather wasn't great, and I kind of hummed and hawed about how far I was going to go and where I was going to go. I've kind of got myself into this little rut of not wanting to take the bike out unless the weather's perfect, so it doesn't get dirty, it doesn't kind of get the wear and tear that the pickup being used on gritty dirty roads. Then I kind of realised this morning that the way my life is and how busy I am, I'm never going to use my bike if I need to tally 3 days versus good weather. It's just not going to happen. And there's a couple of guys I follow on social media, and they go out within reason, whatever the weather, as long as it's safe to ride, they go out, whether it's grey like today, they just get out and about. And I worry about, like I say, the wear and tear on my bike. And then I thought to myself, I've bought a wind visor, protect myself from the cold when I'm riding. I've put the extender fenders on to protect the bike from excessive spray. I've coated it in an inch of its life of like a corrosion protection spray. And I was like, well, what have I done all of this for if I'm not actually going to use it in the poor weather? So I decided this morning, that was it. I'm going out, don't care what the weather is. I did look ahead at the places I wanted to go to, and it said drizzly, chance of a shower, but nothing too heavy. So I cracked on, got myself ready. Could have probably done with another layer of base layer, but I've got 3 or 4 tops on at the minute. And got on, so I don't know if I'm based in Newcastle, so I rode from Newcastle across to Concert, then Concert to Stanhope, then turned right at Stanhope, which is kind of in, I think it's Weardale, Northern Pennines, Weardale. Turned right at Stanhope to Alston, right up to the top. So it was cold. It was really, I could feel it blowing through as it was getting fresh up there. Got to Alston, then turned towards the Hartside Pass, which is one of the highest points. Well, obviously it's not as high as these mountains, but it's a pretty high spot. But it was bitter cold, so with the wind as well. So I stopped for a few minutes, took a few photos, which I'll overlay on here, and then cracked on. Went down to Penrith, and then through Pooley Bridge. Did have a little moment to myself because back in October half term, I was at Pooley Bridge with the family. And I remember I was sitting outside the little kind of shop they've got there, and it was a really nice weekend, and there was quite a few bikers out, and there was all the bikes parked up outside this shop. I think I was waiting for, I think that my wife was in the shop with the little one getting something, or in the queue to get an ice cream or something. I can't remember exactly, but I just remember thinking I'd love to come here and own a motorbike and come here and have a day out. Now obviously it was a lot warmer then, and the bikers were all stopping and having a coffee and an ice cream and whatnot, where today is a different kettle of fish. But I did have a minute to myself and think, actually that was October half term, it's now March, and yes, I'm on my L plates and I've only got a 125, say only, but I was there, and I've rode a motorbike from home to Penrith, and then actually continued on, and now I'm beyond Penrith, and I'm heading towards Glenvidden. The plan is to continue through. I'm going to do the Kirkstone Pass, down the struggling Ambleside, and then I'm going to go down and round. I think it should be about 160 miles by the time I get home, which I've done 2 hours 5 minutes, and this is my first proper stop. Get off the bike, stretch my legs. I'm perfectly comfortable. I mean, I've got a bit of an achy neck, but that's more to, I was up cutting conifers last weekend and I was in some awkward positions, so I think I pulled my neck doing that. So I don't think from the time I've been on the bike I feel fine. I mean, I am coming from a history of spending all day on a pedal bike, so if I'm kind of used to that, sitting on a motorbike being propelled, it should be fine. So yeah, so I'm going to go, I'm not sure which way, from Ambleside I'm going to head back. There's a way you can head north to Carlisle and that way across, but it is going to drop to like 3 degrees at about 5 o'clock tonight, so I don't want to be riding in that. So I think I'm going to probably take the boring route and do like an A road or something, A66 and the A69 back. Can't go on the M6 to head north, so I think there's the A6 which tracks along the side of the M6, so I plan to go along there and just get back quickly. I've had the fun ride out to this point, and then obviously all the way along the Ambleside along the lovely twisty roads, but I think because I've done the distance to get here along the nice roads, I'll probably head back as quick as possible. But one thing I did want to cover today is if anyone's looking to buy a 125, particularly a Honda CB125R like I've got, I found when I was researching, I'll tell you what, as I'm grabbing it, I'll give you a better view, you'll see the mountains, a little bit of snow on the tops there as well. Yeah, as I was researching for my bike, I did the old mile per gallon, what would you expect, the top speed, and all that, and I found it was very different opinions. I mean, there was one for the top speed. There was one video I watched where someone jumped on the bike and ragged the living daylights out of it with a camera pointing at the speedo, and it came up with something like 86 miles an hour. So what I found with my bike is I run a GPS app tracking where I'm going, and the true GPS speed is very different to what it says on the clocks of the bike. So for example, the fastest I've had out my bike was 74, but I think it was saying 86 on the dial of the bike. So for anyone who's watching videos of the dials of the bikes to get what speed you think it'll do, I think Honda's a bit, there's a little bit of kind of excessive, the dials aren't accurate, they're not. In reality, there's a good 5 or 6 miles an hour out as you get to the top end. I find if I want to be doing 30, if I do about 34, 35 on the clock, that's normally GPS 30. So it is a little bit out, which is a bit naughty, I guess, because people think they're doing 80 miles an hour, or the bike's capable of that, and it's not. But hey ho, it's a 125. I mean, people shouldn't expect. I mean, one thing I am finding about my bike, which is absolutely brilliant, is on national speed limit roads like dual carriageways and 60 mile an hour roads, it keeps up with the flow of traffic. Granted, you haven't got that overtaking power, so if someone's doing like 50 and you're on a 60 and you want to make progress, unless you've got a big gap, you're not going to get enough space to overtake, because once you're up to that 50, it takes a while to get any quicker, in a way you need to overtake quickly. So yeah, but I do find like today, on dual carriageways or slow vehicles, once I'm going, like these vehicles that are limited to 56 miles an hour, I can overtake them relatively easy. I wouldn't bother doing it uphill, but on a flat road or even going down, you can get past them. There's at no point today coming from Newcastle across to here that I've felt like I'm holding anyone up. To be fair, I've been held up, but this goes back to if I had a bigger bike, you would be able to get past these cars doing quite 56 and a 60, but then that's the whole kind of worms I spoke about in the last video. Do I really need a faster bike? I had an example this morning. I was following a car 56 miles an hour, and he was just kind of holding us up, but he was going too quick for me to be able to overtake. And I saw this gap where we were going downhill, and I knew the road and I knew there was nothing coming, and I was like, oh, should I give it a go and get past him? And I thought, no, I'll not bother. And then we got around the corner and there's a flock of sheep right in the middle of the road. Now, if I'd have hoofed it down there to overtake that car, I'd have been travelling at quite a speed when I come to that corner. Don't know what that was, but it sounded good. It was a bit like the Marty McFly in Back to the Future, when he races the pickups and he ends up crashing and ruining his life. And if you'd have been able to see in the future, and I kind of had that little vision there, I thought, actually, if I'd have been on a quicker bike and I'd done a manoeuvre there, could have ended up in trouble with them sheep. I don't know. And then it goes back the whole, do I need it? I mean, look where I am. I've travelled over to the lakes from Newcastle, grey Sunday morning, on my bike. Yeah, could have probably done it quicker on a big bike. But how much time would I have spent concentrating on keeping on the road and not looking at what's around us? Again, I'm not going to open up that. I think if you've watched my previous video, you'll understand the kind of dilemma I've got with the 125 versus bigger bikes. So anyway, yes, going back to the speed, just a quick... The fastest I've had at the bike is 74. That was flat out going down the spine road where I live. Yeah, it had nothing left in it. So if you want to know how fast a CB125R goes, to a 74 plate, which is what mine is, the way mine's been built, 74 miles an hour is as quick as it's going to go. And I think that for a 125 can't be scoffed at. I think that's great. I mean, I've read some 125, and I'm like 12 stone. I appreciate the weight makes a difference. I've heard some people grumble that they're not Hondas, but other 125s struggle to get up to 55, 60, but then these people are grumbling are like slightly larger than me, so I don't know if that affects it. I would say one thing, I bought a wind screen thing that I've put on mine. I do think at higher speeds that helps me cut through the air better, more efficiently, so that could help the top speed. But yeah, and as for miles per gallon, now I filled up a few weeks ago. I've been up to, had a ride along the coast next to where I live, South Shields. Went up to Amble, commuted. I've been here, there and everywhere. I think I've got photos of the screen. On the way here I filled up and I've got my receipt. But I'm going to flash up on the screen on my last tank. I think I've got 90 odd miles out of a tank. And I think I brimmed it. And it was just over £10. I think it was like £10.37. So in reality, I could have probably got up to 200 if I wanted to really push it, but the fuel light had just started to flash, which that's the first time I've had it that low, so I was like, I'm going to fill up. But in reality, I think for about 11 quid's worth of fuel, you're going to get 200 miles. Now, I never do that. I normally get about 170 and put less fuel in, but I don't like to run mine low. That's on super unleaded fuel. I've only ever put super unleaded in. Yes, why am I doing it on a 125? Well, I don't know, it costs so little to fill it up. I just like to think that I'm putting the best fuel possible in it. So whether I get more miles per gallon because I'm putting super unleaded in, I don't know, because that's all I've ever ran it on, and I'm not fussy about running it on regular fuel. So yeah, so 74 mile an hour is kind of what you should expect to get. Top speed on the dial, mine's saying anything between 120 mile a gallon to 143. Today I think I'm on about 127 mile a gallon, it's telling me, which is a mixture of 60 mile an hour, quite high on the rev range, to just tooting along slower roads. I suspect that is, again, like the speedometer, it's probably a bit optimistic about reality and what is a real miles per gallon. However, like I said before, I've got my receipt of how much I paid per litre, how much I paid in total, and I've got a photo of how many miles I've done. So I'm going to do the calculation. I'll flash it up on the screen, either before and probably now, just to give you an idea of a real life miles per gallon. My dad, bless him, before he passed away, did this amazing Excel spreadsheet which I've kept for a long time, and he was an accountant and he could do Excel like there was no tomorrow, and he created a document for us. It was back in the day when I had a Honda Civic Type R and I was trying to work out what miles per gallon I was getting out of it, which I wish I hadn't now, but anyhow, that's probably why I ended up getting rid of it. But and I'll put the figures into the spreadsheet and I'll see what we're getting. I think last time I did it, when I first got the bike, I was getting 90 miles to the gallon, but it was new. I'd only done a couple of 100 miles. I wasn't really riding it. I was a new rider, so I wasn't really riding it as efficient as you could do. So I'd imagine it's probably gone up now. And also I'm doing a bit, I was just dotting around the doors, going to and from work back then, where now I've got a bit more confidence and I'm coming on trips like this, bigger roads, in gear for a longer period of time. So yeah, so I just thought I'd give you a quick update. I did promise I was going to start doing more content. This is my route that I've had planned for a while, so I suspect I'll do it again in the summer. I think it'll be much more enjoyable in the summer. There's not been as many bikes on the road because of the weather. It is a little bit gritty on the roads, and again it comes back to, you do hear people will not come out on the bikes if there's any sign of grit on the roads. I'm just checking on the single bike, yeah. Which was quite nice today because I've come across a couple of bikes, but I haven't been kind of having to watch out for them coming up extremely quickly and whatnot. So I think there is a benefit of going out on days when they're a little bit grey, because the roads are quieter bike wise. Yeah, and so far I've had a great day. I mean, it is looking quite cloudy. The weather forecast did say it was going to be cloudy and grey but no rain. It actually said in Newcastle back at home it's going to be a bit sunny later on, so I'm hoping when I get back sort of 5-6 o'clock I'll be able to wash the bike down and it'll be reasonably, I know it'll not be warm, but when you get a little bit of sun at this time of year, it's better than it being grey. So I might get the bike washed and cleaned in the daylight and a bit of sun, we'll see. As for plans for the channel, I'm probably just going to do bits and pieces like this. I forgot my mics today, so I apologise. The audio will not be as good as the previous one, but I've got a borders loop. So again, if I head north towards Kielder, and then there's a nice little loop you can do around Kielder Reservoir. That it's brutal up there when the weather's not great, so I wouldn't even try doing that. The weather can be brutal here, but it's like a pretty brutal. You've got mountains and bits and pieces to see, where up at Kielder it's just like barren, brutal. It's just, I wouldn't do that on a dodgy day. So there's that loop I'd like to do. There's another one where I'd like to go up the A68 all the way to the Scottish borders. There's like a nice little cafe as you go across the borders in a lay-by. So it's not a cafe actually, it's just a van, but I fancy stopping there and then continuing on, turn left, and you can kind of loop back home. I've got various routes planned that I'm quite looking forward to doing over the summer. Oh, pardon me, sorry about that. And I think what I'll do is just these little regular updates, and like today, the miles per gallon was a good one to work out because I'm having a nice run out. I think I've mentioned before, I might talk through what kind of protection I've used on the bike, and after days out like today where I've been in the salt and the grime, it'll be interesting to see in maybe a few months time if it has actually worked, and the nuts and bolts and all the bits and pieces that are open to the elements to stay protected. I know it's a 125 bike, and the kind of 10 a penny, and people generally don't look after them, and whether it'll hold its value or its desirability because I've looked after it, I'm not sure. But I've always looked after stuff. I've been brought up to appreciate what you've got, so part of my hobby is the cleaning and maintaining it, and yeah, so we'll see. I'd be gutted, I must admit. If it was a cheap Chinese bike, I could understand if some of the chromey bits start discolouring and whatnot, but I've bought a premium brand, a Honda brand. I've paid a lot more. I could have got a lot cheaper bike in the range. So fingers crossed that hopefully, when the spring is definitely here and I'm out and about more, fingers crossed the bike will look as good as it did when I bought it. But yeah, so I'll give you one last look. I might, if I've got time, I'm going to go. So basically, I'm going to follow this lake along, and then you can see. Let's have a look at the bearings. There. There's like the Kirkson Pass, where you've got a drop. You've got a pass that goes up through there, and then at the other side of that pass is Ambleside. They've been doing a bit of work on the pub at the top of there, so I know there's a car park opposite it. If it's not too busy, I might stop, get a couple of pictures just to drop over this, and then after that it's back on the busy roads, and I think I'm just going to take the direct route home, which will not be very pretty, and busy laybys to stop at, so it doesn't really give us the opportunity to do any filming. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed. I try to keep these to under half an hour of me waffling on, because that's enough for anyone. So yeah, up to 25 minutes. So yeah, I'm gonna go now. I've got pork pie in my bag. There's the rubbish that people have left. I've got pork pie, I've got a lukewarm coffee. I might stop off an Ambleside and get a fresh coffee. And I think my daughter put a couple of treats in, a couple of packets of crisps. So that'll do me until I get home. Thankfully, the daughter and the wife are at the mother-in-law's today. So I've got plenty of time myself to get home and then get my bike washed. And then ready for, I think next weekend is looking okay, long-term weather forecast. I think, and I believe, my daughter's got a pamper party, 5-year-old pamper party. And I also believe that it's not open to the dads, it's just mums and daughters. So that could be a good thing. It means I could get out next Sunday, which, if the weather's nice, I could maybe do the Kielder Borders loop, or I might nip up to the Scottish borders and then go to Falkirk and all the way around. I don't know. We will see. So, yes, I'm hoping to get this out in the next few days, and then hopefully I'll probably get out midweek Wednesday, and then hopefully the following Sunday I'll do another video while the girls are pampering and Daddy can ride his bike. So yeah, so thanks for watching. I think you've put up with this for long enough. Any questions, any again, if you I want to hear any recommendations of where to go in the lakes. We're not too far from there, so we've spent quite a lot of time over here. I would say the roads are far better to ride than they are to drive a big motorhome along. The motorhome's just so wide and the bike just zips through them. So yeah, so the ride has been, been so much nicer seeing the roads from a bike. But yes, I'm going to go 27 minutes. Time for me to go. I'm going to have my pork pie and then get cracking. So thanks for watching. Bye. So just for a bit of context, I don't know if you can hear us, but I'm now at the top of the pass. Pretty cool there. Might be a bit windy, might not be able to hear, but this is the top of the pass. I can't remember the name of it now, and I'm off down the other side now. So one last look.